What's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here, and I wanted to offer this interview with Andrew Alliance. We talked about a lot of very interesting things from the Bungie layoffs, reactions to the final shape, what's going on with Black Myth Wukong, and other big gaming news in the industry. So I hope you enjoy this episode, this Shackcast episode 58. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe on all platforms, anywhere podcasts are available, and on YouTube. We'll see you on that one. Enjoy.
What's up, man? What's going on?
Dude, everything. So much stuff happening, huh?
I've been seeing a lot of it. This Wukong going crazy uh,
Mmm.
on the internet. So I've seen that, breaking concurrent viewership and all that fun stuff. So I've been watching from afar, even though I haven't really been gaming as much. But what's going on?
Yeah, so that apparently they cracked what 2.2 million players, or actually 3 million now, and 10 million copies sold, which is like insane.
Yeah,
That's pretty
100%.
wild. And I'm sure,
100%.
people will be analyzing Steam numbers in a few weeks or months when people beat the game, and they'll say, oh my god, this game is a failure. Look at that. There's only, 100,000 playing now or something or whatever. I mean, they did it even when like China had their nighttime, and they were like, the game lost 2 million players. And I'm like, yeah, they went to sleep, man. Like,
Right.
like and why do Chinese players not count? Apparently, I mean, we're only meant to count like American players or something. So even when a studio gets a win, it's like we can't really give them that win. We can't really be happy for them. I guess I don't know. Very
Yeah, it's
strange.
just it's just odd to me, man, how those things, play out
Hmm.
the way they do. But it's still fun to watch.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of things happening, a lot of activity in the gaming community as a whole, and
Oof.
watching Black Myth do the numbers that they're doing, I think it's great. It's great to see something else, even if it was a surprise for a lot of individuals, right? But
Hmm.
I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's an indie studio out of China, and this is like their first game, and that's kind of incredible what they're doing. So, mad props to them. What do you think about the whole Xbox thing with their exclusivity? They're like, hey, we're just going to put Indiana Jones on PlayStation in a few months. We've got, other games that we're moving over there gradually. I know some people think it's the end of the world, and other people are, just kind of calm about it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the people who think it's the end of the world if they're in business at all themselves. You know what I'm saying?
have they
Like,
ever made a business deal or
yeah, have you ever sold something one time in your life, and do you have any recurring, income coming
Mhm.
in from a subscription model that you created or you implemented?
Mhm.
I'm curious, right?
Yeah.
Because I think those individuals, although, so let's just say that's the case, right? They haven't done that. So if we're
Mm.
using that as an example, I think it's interesting because it's like you have no idea of what it takes to run a business,
Yeah.
right? And I'm still learning what it
Yeah.
takes to run a business, right? I'm not saying like I'm foolproof and have all the answers, but what I do understand is when you have a product and you want people to pay attention to your product, you have to do something that attracts individuals to that, right?
Mhm.
And how do you do that? What model do you use to do that? And I think it's always an interesting conversation when we're talking about, super fanboys and fangirls of a particular brand
Mhm.
or a particular game or series. They want that series to be available at the same time everywhere, and that's fine. We all want that, right?
Yeah.
We all want that. But it's not always a great business move. I think that's what it is. So for the people who are belly aching about it, I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
Because I
Okay.
barely caught I barely caught some of the stuff from Gamescom because I'm catching up right now.
Yeah.
But you can't miss the Wukong news. You can't miss the Black Ops news,
Mhm.
because that's like, so all over the internet right now. But I think that it's really understanding, even if it's on a small scale, that they're business decisions that need to be made for us to get a profit to some
Mhm.
degree, and alongside of even getting new people to be attracted to what we're offering,
Mhm.
right? And what does that look like? So for me, as you know, when it comes to stuff like that, I really don't care, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I really don't. But what I do care about is enjoying a great experience, because I think we all care about that.
Mhm.
And if I can't say it's a bad decision for Xbox to do what they've done when they're trying to make money, while I'm trying to figure out the best way to make my stuff stand out and make money too. That's so hypocritical in a lot of ways. So I'll leave it there.
Man, that makes a lot of sense. I noticed that Phil Spencer kind of said that they're kind of just hitting a ceiling where it's like
Mhm.
you can only sell so many consoles, you can only sell so many games. At some point, you do have to start marketing towards your competitors. Like you have
Right.
to say, like, "Hey, this game's on PlayStation now. Now we can monetize over there as well." Like,
Mhm.
so I mean, at a certain point, and you would think if you had a business, if you had like a lemonade stand, at some point you're going to market the entire neighborhood and everyone will buy your lemonade, let's just say, best case scenario. At some point you're going to have to like spread to other neighborhoods and maybe parts of town that you're not used to marketing in, or a part of town where they're like, "Oh, we hate Andrew's lemonade, we like
Mhm.
Jerry's lemonade." It's like, so at some point you're going to have to expand and the business has to evolve towards that expansion. That's how I
Yeah.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Like
It's
even when you
nothing
think about
crazy.
like 100%. Like even when you think about like some of the stuff that I've put out, whether it's like the 12 rules of YouTube or
Mhm.
even like 12 rules of selling, those things are specific to that particular target, but that target is a big market, right?
Mhm.
So YouTube, everybody wants to do YouTube, even though some people don't even know they want to do YouTube, but YouTube is an answer to a lot of their dreams, right? It's something that they can do, talk about their passions and monetize from that, right?
Yeah.
And the skill set that it takes to sell anything, if you sold anything to somebody,
Mm.
small or large, you've made a compelling thing, let's just call it that for my lack of words right now, where
Sure.
they actually believe what you said and they bought in, not just in the product, but you selling them that particular thing, right? Whether the
Mhm.
product is like 20 grand or the product is, $20, right? So there's skills that are involved for that. So with what you said about Phil Spencer, he's not selling toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
And everybody needs toilet paper, right?
Mhm.
So if he was selling that, that would be a different situation. It's not even about mass appeal at this point, because we know everybody needs healthcare and everybody needs toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
So the gaming aspect of the stuff is like, at what point, and we've all been talking about it since the 80s and 90s, like, oh man, I wish I could play it here. I wish I could play it there. Or it's just like the arcade. We say all these things, and now we're at a place where we're cross playing, cross saving, cross controllers, cross keyboarding. Now we're at a place where we're actually doing the things that we've been excited about for the last 20 years. Then there's an exhaustion of, okay, well, why is he making that move? And why is the team making that move? Like, what do we really want? So that's the question. So I said all that
Mm.
to say, what do we really want now? Right? Because we've been talking about all the stuff. Oh, we can't play on this platform. It's
Mhm.
not on the handheld. It's not controller compatible. You
Yeah.
can't use the keyboard on this thing. The RAM is not enough. The graphics is not enough. Now we're at a place now the TVs can play the games. That what do we want? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the question. What do we really want now?
What do you want, man? Because, I mean, having the Xbox app on TV where you don't even have to download the games, like just sync up a controller and play, the barrier has never been lower. Things have never been easier to enjoy whatever your favorite game is. You pick it up on whatever platform you want, use
Right.
the input device you want, and you have a good day.
Right. You have a good day. Like even this product here, they were complaining that,
Yeah.
hey, X has this thing,
Mm-hmm.
Twitter Spaces or X Spaces now. You can't use it on desktop. When is it ever going to happen? The product is trash because you can't use it on desktop. Now you
Hmm.
could use it on desktop. So there shouldn't be anybody complaining, right? Like I believe that would be the next thing, right? No one's complaining.
No, they
And
moved to something
now,
else, man.
okay.
There's
Because
no mute button. They'll be like,
right. There's no mute button. Quality
someone
of the
will
audio is
say something.
trash. We get disconnected. The product
Mm.
is too, what's the word that they're probably going to use now? Too congested. Too many
Mm.
things going on, right? So there's always going to be a complaint, even though every single company, whether it's an X or any other company, they're trying to remove every single tension for you to use their product, right? So whether
Mm-hmm.
you look at Uber Eats or you look at a DoorDash, so now the company or companies have
Mm.
done the very best that they can to remove the tension, but now the people using the services are abusing either by eating the customer's food, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Or not properly delivering it the way they should, or finding other loopholes to either harass the customers when they deliver the food. So now, although the company has done a fantastic, or whatever company it is, has done a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic job to remove the tension from those things, when you add people who are bad actors, it changes the whole game, right? So there's that.
Yikes. For sure. Wow.
That's where we are, man. I mean, I love games. I'm still playing
Mm-hmm.
Destiny. I started playing Splitgate. That's fun. Okay, having a lot of fun with that. Call of Duty Black Ops is right around the corner for the beta
Oh
for the
my gosh.
sixth, right? Call of Duty 7 days out, or maybe 6 days out, depending on when this is being recorded. When you actually hear this, so there's a lot of excitement, man. There's the thing happening in Washington for COD Next,
Mm-hmm.
not too long from now. I think that's the 28th of August. So if you like games at all, okay, Liberty Falls Cinematic, that's out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have Kojima's birthday being celebrated. There's a lot of things to be excited about if you're a gamer, in any way, shape, or form. So I think that, I guess, as we're getting older,
Mm.
my thing is like, if you're going to complain about the game or whatever it is, then complain, but it doesn't mean you're going to have a platform to do that, right?
Mm.
Because I'm blocking you. If you're complaining, I'm blocking you, right? Because for me at this point, and the reason
Yeah.
I say that is because we have so much free to play games right now that
Mm.
we can enter so many different universes. Whether you look at the Hoyo Games universe with
Dude.
everything they have going on there,
Yeah.
Wuthering Waves, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
have free to play shooters that we enjoy today that have tiers that we can just play the game before we start paying for stuff. And then you have like the mobile industry that we rarely talk about, and there's a lot of good stuff happening there. So if you can't find something that you love and just rave about how much you love it, I don't know, man. I really don't.
Yeah, and I saw that Concord went like early access. You can just
Mm-hmm.
like buy the game for 39. Like that's, and granted that's not free, but I mean it's like there's never been more choice. Like if you don't
Mm-hmm.
like Overwatch, you play Concord. If you don't like
Mm-hmm.
Concord, play the new Marvel Rivals game that's on the way. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so much variety, and of course there's Destiny, Division, Warframe, all the above. All of the
100%.
You got Zenless Zone Zero now coming from
Mm-hmm.
the wonderful folks that did Genshin Impact. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Hoyoverse is insane. I mean, yeah, there's so much to be excited about that if you can't like shift and find that one game that's your passion or something that looks interesting to you, I don't really have time for all this like people are constantly hating. I noticed the Silent Hill 2 remake was just a wall of hate for like the past year or so. Everyone said it's not going to be good. It doesn't look good. I hate that they changed this. I hate that they changed that. And now all of a sudden it's, oh, this game looks amazing. Oh, look at the changes they
Right.
made. Oh, like, and I hate that just about face. That that pure hypocrisy that happens with gaming. So I mean, it's all around. You know, people can't be pleased by anything, whether it's how much the swimsuit covers the girl in Stellar Blade. You know, people get mad if it's too much or too little, and so we have to argue about that. With Black Myth Wukong, it's all about player numbers. It's all about, well, I don't understand this game because it's Chinese mythology and they're not feeding me the story. You know, they're kind of expecting that you know a little something. Just like God of
Mhm.
War expects that you know a little bit about Greek mythology or a little bit about Norse mythology.
Mhm.
But granted, I'll say, like, we don't learn Chinese mythology. We don't know about their gods and demons in the way that our schools teach us about Greek and Christian and Judaism and all of these different religions. You know, we learn about historical events. We don't really learn a whole lot about what's going on over there. So, I mean, it's kind of a nice little eye opener for me, like diving into the lore and playing the game and reading about each of the characters and going on this fantastic adventure. It's really cool. I don't know, it's just really frustrating the way the gaming space is right now that, you know, if you can't, with Helldivers, if you can't maintain your full player base all the time, then your game's a failure.
Mhm.
If Destiny has a brief slump in between DLCs, it's a dead game. You know, it's it's ridiculous.
It is, and I realize I don't have much time for it now because like a lot is changing in my life right now. So I'm just focusing on,
Hmm.
making money, focus on my family, and focusing on my investments and stuff like that. And of course, like whereas creating in some way, shape, or form. So that's been my focus, man. I feel like I haven't really been on, with the exception of the recent thing that Logitech did with Logi Play Days with Able Gamers. So that was fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, and I want to do more of that stuff because it is extremely targeted, and it is, of course, scheduled in advance and stuff like that. But that was really fun to support, able gamers, and of course, the stuff that Logitech does is always top tier in my opinion. There may
Hmm.
be some bias there, but so there's that. But yeah, so Borderlands 4 coming 2025. How do you feel about that? All new planet, new vibe.
Yeah,
You
that
feeling that?
that could be really interesting. I think maybe that's the breath of fresh air that the series needs, and
Hmm.
you know, they make the changes and get people excited. I know the movie didn't really do it any favors, but I think the expectation was like, hey, people will watch the movie and then we'll be like, here's Borderlands 4 and we'll blow everyone's minds, you know? But
Yeah,
nevertheless, I think it's a good thing. It's a good move.
I agree with you. It's a good move. I think that the streaming numbers for the movie is not going to be anything until this game starts.
Mhm.
The rollout for this game in 2025. So I'm sure you saw that there's literally a rush to get it to streaming because no one's really watching it, like you just shared,
Mhm.
for the most part. But I do believe that when things like that happen,
Mhm.
and I'm sure if the movie is halfway decent with the stellar cast that it
Yeah.
has, I'm sure it's good because I plan to watch it, right?
Yeah.
But what's going to happen is, as Borderlands 4 approaches, there's going to be a surge to watch that in preparation for the game. We've seen this before with other titles. That's not anything new. That's just the way it works, right? So even with the Fallout stuff, when Fallout was kicking, you know, um, and just breaking down all doors when it came out on Amazon, a lot of
Mhm.
folks went back and started playing Fallout again, right? From what I gathered,
Oh,
that was the
absolutely.
sentiment, right? So that was the sentiment for the internet. So my thing is, we just have to admit what took place. Okay,
Mhm.
Borderlands 1 was good.
Yeah.
Borderlands 2 was good.
Uh-huh.
Borderlands 3 was trash. Hopefully, Borderlands 4, right,
Yeah.
is not Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Borderlands 4 is a new planet, and with everything that made Borderlands 1 and 2 great, specifically 2, because
Mhm.
2 is like, so much replay value. I know you played it on your channel and all that.
Mhm.
2 2 kept the series alive, in my opinion,
Yeah.
even at a discount on Steam and other places and stuff like that. So if they do the lightning in a bottle and take that lightning and transfer it to 4 on a new planet and all that stuff, I think that's going to be amazing for the series.
Mm. I
They
think
have to.
that's the way. That's how they have to do it.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. So how do
Yeah.
you feel about what's going on with Destiny lately? Have you kept up with that?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm man, super biased, you know that. I
Yeah,
try
we
not to
are.
say
We're Destiny.
I try not to say anything bad about Destiny, but my thing is just like when it comes to because we were talking about business a little bit before, if you're doing people wrong, it's just wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're only focusing on what you can do for yourself and your family, but not the people on your team, then I think that is wrong. But my thing is like I am totally ignorant of the entire situation where
Mm-hmm.
what's happening internally. I think most of us are, but externally, if did the people know that this was going to happen? And most of the time they don't, because usually the marker is if a top tier manager comes in from out of town to tell you everything is fine, everything is
Mm.
not fine,
Yeah.
right? That's just how it works. Everything is fine. We're doing great. Profits are up. Blah blah blah. If they have to come in and do a little pep rally at the office and they never come around,
Yeah.
right? Then you know that something's wrong. Like, did they have that warning? Because at this point, that's just the nature of most places, right? Did they even have that? From what I understand, they did take care of them with severance packages and stuff like that for them to bounce back,
Mm-hmm.
and conversations surrounding, if they need help, getting relocated or rejobbed, whatever they call those things. They'll have assistance through social media and maybe get connects with other companies. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody wants anybody to lose, their source of income, whatever that is, right?
Absolutely.
But as brilliant as these people are and what they do, from art to audio to video and everything that they've done for us to still play this game 10 years later, I think those individuals, hopefully at some point they said, hey, I could take this skill set that I have and
Mm.
start creating something for myself.
Yeah.
I hope, right? But that's
Absolutely.
not everybody, because some people are so diehard with the company, but they forget that the company wants the company to last, even if that means letting go of people.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't like that part of it. I don't like it for anybody. I don't like it for, people I probably will never meet. I don't
Mm.
like it for my neighbors locally in my neighborhood. I think
Mm-hmm.
anytime you lose a source of income, and if it's a massive one, especially if you're working at, a company like Bungie, it takes a toll on the family, and however you're able to bounce back and hopefully it's fast. But I don't like that part. So with that, you get a sentiment that nobody wants to talk about Destiny. Nobody wants to talk about Solstice,
Mm.
right? Of Heroes, even though they don't really call it that anymore. So nobody's really talking about the game. And if they are playing the game, they're playing it quietly. They may not be streaming it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll stream it regardless, because
Yeah.
that's like one of the main games that I play.
Absolutely.
So I don't like the business aspect of it, which is why, I think I'll always encourage someone to do their own thing. But I think it takes a different drive and ambition for people to realize that, yes, you're helping the company because you work there as a graphics person, or you made the best levels in Destiny for PvP. You designed the Trials of Osiris maps, but what are you doing for yourself?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't necessarily take that with you. You can probably showcase it to another place and say, "Hey, this is what I've done," but like that proprietary stuff is the company's, you know, unless
Mm-hmm.
there's an agreement that you can actually do something with it, offline or off of that company's premises, once you leave them. So yeah, it's a very there's a lot of politics there, but everybody should do their own thing, even though that they're working for a company. I definitely encourage that.
Yeah, I've noticed like a lot of people that work on games in that respect. Like with Suicide Squad, they've been sharing a lot of the graphic artists, the lighting. All these people have been sharing like images from the game, and they'll be like, "Hey, I lit this scene. I designed this character. So I think at some point they are allowed to have like a portfolio, but
Hmm.
what you were kind of saying is building on that is like almost have like a side project where you're, maybe working on your own game or offshoot of a team somewhere, spinning some ideas or something. Have a backup plan and maybe chase your own dream. Maybe you could be the next Bungie.
Right. I agree. Everybody should be chasing their own dream in some way, shape, or form. Yes, you're working for a company. That may be your dream job, but that's not your dream business. That's not yours.
Mhm.
Right? So I think that you have to it's almost like you have to find a way, reprogramming your mind or your internal OS, for your brain that the urgency should be, yes, I'm working for this company, but I have to be doing something for myself, even if I'm going to be tired doing it after my 9 to 5 or my 10 to 8 or whatever the schedule is, right? So there has to be an urgency for the person or the couple or whoever is working for that company or whatever, to say, hey, I have, when I get home, that's when my day starts. Yes, I gave you these hours, 8 hours or whatever, but now when I get home, my hustle starts, from
Mm.
you see what I'm saying, from like
Yeah.
7 to 11 or whatever, because at some point, if people are honest, a salary is just a dream killer, to keep you there, right? But the
Yeah.
salary is going to end if you get fired. So it's not a recurring revenue for you unless you take your skill set and do something that's going to be recurring, or showcasing some videos, or doing a podcast or writing something or whatever. I think you have to consider those things as a matter of urgency once you leave your standard hours of operation for whatever you do for that company. So I think those things are absolutely necessary. Nobody in their right mind who works for a company now believe that that company is always going to have their best interests at heart, if they're honest. Nobody believes that. So if that's the case,
Mm.
then once you clock out and you walk out of that company for the day or that Friday, what are you doing Friday night into, Sunday? Are you doing anything for yourself? Because it only takes a couple of hours to make an impact, especially if the products that you're creating are digital. So if they're digital, that means you don't need to necessarily have inventory in your home to execute and make sales for the things that you're, putting out there. So there has to be a sense of urgency.
Absolutely. Now, these layoffs, they didn't know they were coming, but apparently they were inevitable.
Hmm.
That regardless of how the final shape does, this was going to happen. And
Hmm.
the final shape did pretty well, but they were also saying that Lightfall actually sold more.
Hmm.
As much as we didn't like Lightfall, a lot of us bought it so we could see how it is, and obviously we're not going to skip on Destiny content a lot of the
Hmm.
time. And so I mean that's kind of upsetting to me cuz the final shape is truly great and it should have brought everyone back. Even if you thought you were retired from Destiny, even if you haven't played in the past 2 or 3 years, like you would think like this big end game moment of like, hey, this could be how the series ends. Like that's
Hmm.
how big this expansion feels. You'd think it would really bring everyone back, unless I'm wrong here.
No, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I think that um, things change for a lot of people, right? We get so many games that get thrown at us throughout the year,
Hmm.
and with all the different conventions that create, the hype and the buzz for something else. Sometimes depending on how you left the game, right, distaste or whatever the case might be, you may never go back to it, even if they have something good, right? It's kind of like, a restaurant. You go there, and although the food is good, something happened that was bad, and every time they mention that restaurant, be like, that kind of thing. It's almost like a trigger, even though that the product is fantastic, but the host was rude, or the person serving you threw the plate at you or whatever, or on the table. You know, food could be amazing, but it's just a little things, man. Like,
Hmm.
community. ongoing service game of the year or whatever that reward is, or that trophy is every year, like all the games that we're playing now, or a good portion of them, for me more so than you, because you play a lot of single player experiences and stuff like that. Like a lot of the games that I play are service games, right? I know we talk about Division, we talk about Warframe, we talk about Destiny, and there's plenty of other ones, Ashes, right? Remnant
Yeah.
of the Ashes and stuff like that. Like if you're not servicing those things to make people happy, that one thing that's off for that month means that the person may never come back to the game, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, and that's the bummer. I think that's happening with Helldivers. They nerfed flamethrowers and maybe a
Mhm.
couple other things, and now it's like the review bombs are back. Like, they are, the whole perception of the game is that, they don't care about the fans and they made mistakes, and then they come out in a blog post and they do their apologies and they say, hey, we're going to have like a beta test server where we can, you know, push these changes out to the public, in a test format, and then we can get feedback, and then we can actually make like actionable decisions before we just throw this stuff out to the mainline game and
Mhm.
potentially damage our brand and also damage like the war front, because I mean
Mhm.
if we have crap weapons, we can't win the war against the bugs and the robots. So I don't know. We're seeing that with pretty much every live service game. Destiny's had a million times where those type of events have happened. Telesto's too powerful. Telesto's not powerful enough. This gun gets removed from the game because it's so unbalanced until we can fix it. There's been
Mhm.
so many times, even the sunsetting, all that kind of stuff, then sunsetting, the sunsetting, and then realizing that you won't get your sunsetted guns that were sunsetted when sunsetting was able to sunset, but now they don't sunset anymore. So
Right.
now that when you earn those guns, you'll actually get to keep them. You won't have to fear that they're going to sunset them.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. No, exactly.
Makes plenty
Exactly.
of
And
sense, right?
it does. It does for us because
Yeah.
we're sitting in the universe, often enough for us to see the changes. Like
Hmm.
even when you what I was saying earlier, like when you think about, Solstice of Heroes not necessarily getting as much promotion as it usually gets
Mm.
around this time. Like it was a quiet, you know, solstice
Yeah.
this time around. And although I'm playing it, I'm trying to get some gear before it goes away. I don't know if it goes away next week or the week, after that, but I think it's close. So I'm trying to get at least one or two pieces to have those gear sets because they're fantastic gear sets. So although that is a good thing that will drive individuals to come in and play the game, I don't know, if that was enough based on, the layoffs and stuff like that, right? How
Hmm.
much promotion you're going to be doing, I don't know. So it's a very interesting time for Destiny, and we say the same thing whenever we see this.
Mm.
Layoffs are bad. We hope people bounce back, and then we'll play the game. They'll do something amazing, and then all the marketing and advertising will be on full throttle, and we'll come back in, or the people will come back in, say Destiny is the best game. It has everything I want, and then rinse and repeat. So, like you said, people have left at different times. The sunsetting era, they left. DLC, wasn't coming out fast enough. They left. Lightfall, they left. Eververse XP, extravaganza, whatever you want to call that, saga, or playing with the customers XP, they
Yeah.
left. Right. So, not having the weapons that I want, they're gone. So there's been a lot of exodus, from the title, but at the end of the day, it's still a thriving experience. Like you name me, which we have plenty, but you name me a game that's been around for this long that still can pull people in just on the music and the experience of the game.
It's a short list, I would say.
It's a short list.
Like I gave.
Right. It's a short list. Like when you're actually
Yeah.
honest with, you load the game, you
Hmm.
hear the music, you get pulled in, you go to the tower, you get your bounties, whatever you get. Maybe you pick up a couple of weapons in the tower, and then from there you say, "Hey, I want to do trials, or hey, I want to do some strikes. I want to help out a friend. They're at a boss right now. Jump in, help out the friend, take out the boss, celebrate. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
got new gear. Let me come on, man. Come on. At the end of the day, man, it is a premium game with flaws. I'm not gonna say the game doesn't have flaws, but it is a
Mm-hmm.
premium game.
Oh, I agree. I guess kind of setting it up even further is like, where do they actually go from here? Because Final Shape is out. They're doing episodes throughout the year, right? And then they've kind of said that like future stuff, we're not really going to get like big expansions. We're just going to get like a little one maybe once or twice a year, smaller stuff like Shadowkeep, which is still pretty big, like pretty
Yeah.
massive, but we're not going to get like the Taken King or something again, like another big one. But the way I see it is that any of this could change if Bungie's financials change, right? Like
Yeah,
if all of a
100%.
sudden one of those DLCs blows up, or if all the players realize the Final Shape was incredible and they all come back, like anything could happen. Of course, they're trying to launch Marathon, which is meant to be a hero-based extraction shooter, which I think is a huge gamble. And they're obviously shifting some of the team to work on that. And I mean, if that doesn't pay off, they're in even more deep trouble. And obviously, they appear to have overpromised Sony what they can deliver and how much money they were making. They might have fudged the numbers when Sony was buying them, and that puts them in a difficult spot. I'm just curious, where do you think Destiny goes from here?
I think it's still going to be an experience that we're going to enjoy. They're going to have to build with the resources that they have and still keep the game, um, I guess, somewhere between 8 and 10 by way of satisfactory, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, when we look at like a Hellblade or any game like that that has a small team do what they can to make sure the game is great. Now you're gonna have to be extra careful for quality assurance and stuff like that, especially when things are going out. You're not gonna get everything. Testers will probably show you, the mistakes that are in the game and for you to fix them. But being available for the conversation is gonna be that's the answer. Being available for conversations, not necessarily a summit or anything like that, but fireside chats, answering questions, doing streams
Mm-hmm.
with individuals that are part of the team where people can have an outlet either via chat or maybe answer some of the questions live for their concerns, I think is going to be a game changer for them. When you think of all the games that have stood the test of time, even if they had internal troubles, it was always the games that still made themselves available, meaning by the leadership still speaking to the people. Those games have weathered many, many storms. Warframe has,
Mm.
because they're always talking to their community. So if you were to take like a blueprint of what you should do in times like this, is maybe do it every 2 weeks or enough for it to be consistent as you're building other projects, even if it's for an hour, or make the leadership available to have conversations that are uncomfortable
Mm.
so the people can say, at least you're trying to let us know what's going on. Because the individuals that are still playing the free to play experiences of Destiny 2 are the same individuals that can turn around and buy a DLC when the DLC comes out. But if you're not having the conversations with them and making yourself available for, like a Twitch stream or a YouTube live of an hour of, hey, we're just going to kick it today. This producer or this designer is going to play on stream. I'm going to be hanging out with them. I'm the senior manager for this or senior manager for that. If you have any questions while this person is playing or I'm playing with them, we'll answer the questions to the best of our ability. We know the time frame that we're at right now with Destiny and where we are, but we want to make sure that you know that we love the game just as much as you do. And as we're making progress for the future of Destiny and what that looks like, we want to be available for any kind of conversations, even if it's uncomfortable. You don't think people will pull to that?
I think people love a good comeback story and
Of
underdog,
course,
and people love to be heard. They love to be valued, right? I mean, that's
of
what we're
course,
doing right here. Like, we love to be heard. We want our
of course.
opinions to be validated, and sure.
So I think that that is, and not necessarily doing it because um what am I thinking right now? If you're just doing it as a system and not because you really care, people will see right through that,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So if it's just a messaging from your PR team and you think that that's it, that people can't read right through that, but there has to be like a heart to heart conversation, even like a fireside at some point with the leadership, and that is a not necessarily an open door because the floodgates will open and that would be kind of crazy, but a format where they can actually have conversations with, like you said, what's next, with Destiny 2. What can I look forward to? I love this game. I bought every DLC, I have every book, I played every character, I maxed out all my characters. Those individuals, are
Mm-hmm.
looking for, conversations from the team.
That's very true. I think they're in a similar space to what Marvel's going through, where they're like, hey, we just dropped Endgame. It's the biggest, best movie. We wrapped up 10 years of storytelling. Now,
Mhm,
where do we go from here? What compelling characters do we have left? What stories can we tell with them? And they've had a
mhm,
few missteps, right? They've had a few
mhm,
movies where they're like, where's this going? They've had TV shows that go in different directions, and it's like they can't retcon or reboot the entire thing. I mean, they could, but then the whole investment of the past 10 years was for what? So I mean, they have to find a way to pivot and like keep building on what they've created.
mhm, mhm,
So I don't know. It's a difficult spot where both of these companies are at. They're having to sort of reinvent the wheel, and you can't really go back and tell the same Iron Man story and build up the next villain the exact same way you did Thanos. You can't just follow the blueprint anymore. And I think
mhm,
that's kind of what's happening with Destiny. Is it's like you can't really just follow that same blueprint anymore. You have to do something different. Players want new powers, abilities, guns, locations, enemy races, whatever it is. Like, and they want all new mechanics. They want all new game modes. They want a full investment into PvP that they haven't really done to the extent that PvP players would enjoy. They probably want more maps and more modes and all sorts of different things. And Gambit being sort of left out in the rain. What's for that? What can you do with Gambit other than make more maps? Can you evolve the game into a different thing? Could Gambit be Gambit 2.0 someday?
mhm.
There's all sorts of things that they could do with the game and the franchise, and it does seem like the idea of doing marathon, that's splitting yourself off a little bit, and that's cutting some of your talent. And granted, there's probably some people that are tired of, some people might be tired of making Destiny, and maybe it's refreshing to be on marathon. It's refreshing to branch off and work at another studio or something. But I still think the passion's probably there, and obviously the the most interesting thing to me is that they fired everyone. Like, they fired the community managers, so the people that need to be there for the fireside chat, they fired them. They fired the musicians, like the composers and stuff. They're gone. So it's
Mhm.
like, what is the next expansion? Like, is it gonna have music? Is there gonna be a team promoting it? Like, are they gonna hire a new composer at the right time? Was it perhaps that the previous composer had too high of a rate or something and they could no longer
Mhm.
afford him? Like, this is stuff that we may even never know, because I mean, it's inner office politics here, and running a business, and it's hard. And so when you start going into the red, you have to cut your losses, and it's difficult, and nobody likes to fire everyone, but they probably at some point had to consider, like, okay, what teams can we trim down on? And those were like the first to go. But I mean, Bungie is known for its music. It's known for people like Deej, the community outreach, right? and Luke Smith is gone. Mark Noseworthy is gone. I think we briefly chatted about this online, but how do you feel about all that? It feels like all the OGs are gone. Like none of the original composers are there. You don't have Marty O'Donnell from Halo, who came over to work on Destiny for a while and then got booted out. But now we don't even have I forget his name, but we don't have him anymore, and now we don't even have like people that were behind the biggest expansions. The Taken King, that was all. Well, not all these people, but obviously they were heading those teams. Luke Smith, Mark Noseworthy being in charge of like narrative stuff as well. They designed some of the guns, like some of the big moments that we've enjoyed over the years and our most memorable experiences that we reference. How how does Destiny change? I mean, is it for the better? Is it for the worse without these guys and without a large portion of the team? Assuming they've fired more people than since they fired everybody for Lightfall. After Lightfall, they fired a bunch of people. Now they fired even more people after Final Shape. Like, what's the lesson here to learn when even when you put out a banger expansion, you still lose? And what's next when the talent that we know and love is gone? What happens there?
Yeah, so I guess we can wrap up on this note here. So I think that talent will always exist, right? Skill sets will always exist, and sometimes you have to make room for individuals who have those skill sets. They may not be the individuals that you've been naming for the last 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
in a particular franchise or in a particular business or whatever. So you mentioned a lot of different names. Those individuals are extremely talented. They're going to take their talents and go to another company and still provide some great contributions for those companies. But if those roles are changed or still needed, that team is they're going to hire new individuals to fill those roles. And the other thing to consider as well is if they're not necessarily leaning on one person's ability and their name to sell a particular product, they may consider systematizing how they do business so it's not a person that is winning the game. For example, when we look at basketball or football, we don't credit that play or the win to just one person, right? There's multiple talents on that particular team, whether you're looking at American football or you're looking at football, worldwide, or you're looking at basketball. Yes, there are individuals who are extremely talented, but when those individuals leave and that team still wins championships, then you have to credit the system that is designed to continue being a top tier player in the marketplace. So whether you look at, the Lakers or the Bulls or any other team that has won multiple championships, there's a system in place. You could take out some favorite players, a player can get injured and they still manage to win, let's say, a championship that year, then you have to credit the system that is in place, not just the players that are there. So I think that when you look at Bungie and people moving around and going, in a different direction, layoffs and pickups, for other things, then it almost seems like let's get back to a system that you can put in a player, even if they leave on their own, or we have to downsize, the system still works to put out the best product that the end user is going to enjoy. So that's how I look at that. What's next could be a systems play. We don't know, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. And by the way, that was Michael Salvatore was the composer,
Yeah,
co-composer, as it were.
100%. But yeah, any other final thoughts?
Man, it's just interesting times, and I'm finding it frustrating to be a part of the conversation because there's always toxicity on both sides of an issue, and it feels like everything's boiling down to hyper-analyzed analytics. We're looking at frame rates, we're looking at player counts and concurrent player counts and how many copies were sold here and there. And we're looking at scores of games and movies, and then we're Metacriticing and Rotten Tomatoing those scores, and everything's aggregated, everything's data. Art is meant to be enjoyed, and art is meant to not be boiled down to a number. But you can still review things, as in whether you love or dislike something, you can still refer it to the right people. You can still write a review that informs people, and even if you disliked said product, you could still write a review in a way that it informs the people that might disagree with you and say, hey, I really like their review, I appreciate their perspective, but it looks like they're wrong in my opinion. This is for me, So I don't know. That's what the whole space feels like right now, and it's difficult to be in, but I want to be the change that I want to see in the space. But it's very frustrating, so I'm learning to sit on the sidelines a little more.
Yeah, so even with that, man, I'll just say I really don't think that you're sitting on the sidelines. You're streaming. You're promoting the games that you love. You're
Yeah.
streaming the games that you love. So I think we don't necessarily sit on the sidelines. I think what we're what we're trying to do, by way of creators and entrepreneurs, and is to put our blinders on,
Mm.
right? Because the noise is always going to be there. So I think that the way we do that is by literally focusing on our creative process and have fun with the communities that we're building. So I think that that's where we are. So I really don't think you're sitting on the sidelines, because you're still putting out, content and product, for the people that enjoy your content. So yeah, I'll say that. And where can they find you, man?
And that's you can find me everywhere at Aaron Shack 64 TV on Twitter, Aaron Shack 64 across the board. I'm on YouTube, the Shackcast podcast, and AaronShack.com.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. You can find me at Uriah, Uriya, and all my links are in my X profile. Definitely check me out there. And great conversation, man. Thank you for pulling up.
Thanks
And
for having me.
no worries, man. Until next time, take care.